Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
It should be noted that Welcome to Night Vale is not a creation of my own. I am simply sharing my thoughts and comments on a podcast that I enjoy. Thank you, and please have a nice day.
Hello and welcome to this video. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's doing fine, and I hope the universe is treating you fairly. I do have a space heater going on in the background, so you may hear that. Microphone may pick that up every now and again. It's a thing. It's the time of year we're at now. This room that I do all my video stuff in is the coldest room in the house, and it's really not worth running the central heat to heat up this one room for the short time that I'm in here doing the recording and what have you. So I got a space heater, and it is what it is. So yeah, that'll be cutting on every now and again. Just wanted to let you know about that. So we are going back into Night Vale, and this is the 32nd episode. It's called Yellow Helicopters, and let's go see what Cecil has for us today.
A lonely heart, a wandering eye, an empty stomach, a shoulder to cry on. This is what makes us, us. Welcome to Night Vale.
Yeah, it seems like the talking during this musical interlude has pretty much kept the copyright algorithm at bay. So plus there's a couple some past videos, there's a couple places where I just laugh over the track.
Sad news, listeners. Old woman Josie says that the angels who have been living with her, helping around the house, and ultimately protecting her from all evils, have disappeared. It's hard to say just how sad this news is, for two important reasons. One, angels are not real. And two, we are not allowed to know about their existence or hierarchical structure. Josie called this weekend and spoke to Vithya, our station intern. She said that the angels often leave her for a few hours or days at a time, but they've never been gone for 3 straight weeks. She thinks that they are off fighting an important war for good.
Which they might be. Plus we got another name drop on a intern. For those of you playing Night Vale public radio intern bingo.
But she's worried that maybe she just made them mad. Or bored. Angels get bored very easily, Josie said. Which is strange because they are eternal, and there is a lot of downtime during immortality.
You got a point there.
Vithya told Josie that angels aren't real, and that we cannot know such things about them. But this just made Vithya cry, because if you talk about angels, and you are one who has been secretly chosen by angels for special angelic purposes, you will start crying. Vithya has been sobbing quite a bit this morning, as a matter of fact. I keep asking her, "Are you okay?" But she just says, "Angels aren't real," and then buries her heaving face into her inner elbow and runs off. Dear listeners, it appears the angels, if they are real, and they are not, have left Night Vale. And none of us are allowed to know this. So, forget I said anything.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
The Night Vale Medical Board wants to know, are you heart healthy? How healthy is your heart? Have you ever checked? Doctors recommend checking your heart at least once a year. Simply separate the skin on your upper chest and break open the ribs. Here's a tip. If you don't have a bone saw handy, just sterilize any old electric saw you might have in your work shed.
You know, because it's got to do something.
Right behind your ribs, kind of to the left, is a potato-shaped muscle lump filled with straw and maybe some insects. That's your heart. Pull that out and sew your chest back up. Wash your heart in warm water, pat dry with a paper towel, and roll flat on a floured surface. Brown both sides in a sauté pan and eat immediately. Remember, a healthy heart is a healthy life. This has been Community Health Tips.
And these are health tips you can take to someplace.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been getting reports that several yellow helicopters have been seen hovering above town. We are all aware of the black helicopters, which are world government, and blue helicopters, which are secret police, and the helicopters with detailed murals of diving birds of prey, which are the helicopters that took all the children in Night Vale away a few months ago. We still don't know what those helicopters are, but they did bring all the children back unharmed and much more well-behaved than before, so they are deemed just as safe as the other helicopters.
Yeah, you know, you gotta have, you know, security ratings for your helicopters that fly around.
But these new yellow helicopters, no one quite knows. They tend to hover in packs of 3 or more in fixed locations for several minutes before moving on. The city council has said that the helicopters are our guests, and they should be treated as such, but added that the helicopters, more specifically, are uninvited guests and should be treated with fear, hatred, and uncontrolled panic.
Hey, yeah. At least they're honest about it.
If you have any more information on these yellow helicopters, keep it to yourself. There's no question they can hear every move, every sentence you make. Be quiet and stay inside.
That's always good advice, especially in modern America.
They already know. Let's go now to sports. After a second straight loss this weekend, Night Vale High School football coach Nazar Al-Mujahid expressed some concern over senior quarterback Michael Sandero's poor play. Last season, the Scorpions won the division title under Sandero's leadership and special powers he had acquired from multiple lightning strikes. One such advantage was the second head he had grown, which helped him see rushing linebackers and get better reads on zone coverage. But in the off-season, Sandero had one of his heads surgically removed, leaving him with only the head that speaks Russian.
Which, that was probably not the best choice. Or it could have been a medical error. We don't know.
Angry fans speculate that because Sandero no longer looks like his original self, and because he no longer speaks English nor Spanish, he does not have the same rapport with his teammates. When asked whether or not Sandero was losing the respect of his team, Coach Al-Mujahid said, "Our boys play together. Our boys play good games. We want to..." And here he paused, clearly upset with his star quarterback's decision to get off-season surgery without consulting team trainers. "We want to be good football boys," he concluded. The coach then reached his fingers into his mouth, pulling his tongue slowly out. Slowly, not stopping.
That might be concerning in any other town, except for maybe Night Vale or Texas high school football. Probably not concerning either way there.
He kept pulling his seemingly endless tongue out, staring at the reporters the whole time. After he stretched it to about 2 feet, the last reporter left the room, clearly shaken. The coach remained in his office quietly, and with wide eyes, pulling out his enormous tongue.
I mean, 2 foot Gene Simmons would probably think that's like amateur.
Larry Leroy, out on the edge of town, says that just this morning he was visited by a man in a tan jacket who carried a deerskin suitcase. Larry said the man approached his farm and asked about how much sunshine he had been getting. I told him, "John Peters, you know the farmer, his imaginary corn crop had been good this summer, and the sun seemed to be doing just fine," Larry said. "Although some days there's no sunrise at all, and on other days the sunrise is extremely loud."
Like it does on occasion.
Larry added that this was a pretty strange question, asking about how much sunshine he'd been getting, as the sun comes up every day, save those 2 or 3 sunless days last week. Larry said he was a nice enough fellow, though, named Emmett. Larry said he couldn't remember exactly what Everett looked like, nor what his last name was. When asked who Everett was, Larry replied, "The fellow in the tan jacket." When told he just said the man's name was Emmett, Larry replied, "Yes, Ernest. I said that."
Ooh, got to pause for a laugh there. That was pretty good. The thing is, I've had conversations with people just like that.
"Don't bog me down, son." Then he slapped the reporter's tape recorder, making the following loud thumping noise. Larry said that after the man left his home, he saw a dark black line in the sky, coming from the heavens down to near where old woman Josie lives, down by the old car lot. He said he thinks it was probably something to do with those weird, tall friends of hers that fly around and make loud trumpet noises and will not stop smiling all the time.
Yeah, you got to be leery of people that smile all the time.
When asked if he meant angels, Larry replied, "Don't bog me down, son," and then started weeping. "Angels aren't real," Larry said, through quick breaths and incomprehensible tears. As part of our service to our town, Night Vale Community Radio is taking another moment to allow one of the candidates for mayor to make a brief statement.
Oh, this is going to be good.
The following is from Hiram McDaniels.
Hi, I'm Hiram McDaniels. You've heard a lot of things from my opponent about how the night sky is beautiful but sad and how sagebrush is a very important smell. You've also heard that I am literally a 5-headed dragon.
Which, yeah, he kind of is.
All of that is completely correct. What you haven't heard is that I'm literally a 5-headed dragon. Who cares? Now, this is also my campaign slogan. I'm literally a 5-headed dragon. Who cares? And what you haven't heard is that I care about small business owners. What you haven't heard is that I care about the future of our children. What you haven't heard is that I care about the future of our small children business owners. You ever heard?
I don't know what it is tonight, but I'm finding this particular episode rather funny.
Heard the faceless old woman who secretly lives in your home say that? No, you haven't. Really, you shouldn't be able to hear her say anything at all. She doesn't have a mouth. I have 5 mouths. What you haven't heard is...
Do you hear the beating of my terrible wings? Do you feel the flames lick at the corners of a life you once thought belonged to you?
Sorry about that. My green head got excited. We all have human foibles.
You know, always when the green head gets excited.
I don't. I'm literally a 5-headed dragon. But what you haven't heard is my new plan for an expanded park system and more youth sports program.
And you will never hear it. It's a secret and buried in a secret place.
That's a good point, Purplehead. So vote for me, Hiram McDaniel. The faceless old woman who secretly lives in your home is all about politics as usual. Also, she doesn't have a mouth, and that's weird.
Stillness touches the most frantic heart as we all look up in awe and terror. A sudden shout of fire, and all is forgiven. A gentle touch of flame, and all is as if it never was.
Hiram McDaniel. What you haven't heard can't hurt you.
Yeah, that might be true, maybe.
Listeners, we received word from Old Woman Josie that 6 yellow helicopters are circling her home at this moment. She also said that she's receiving no sunlight. She says all of her clocks tell her it's the middle of the day, but that she is receiving no sunlight. And yes, I'm looking at our own station clocks, including the wristwatch Carlos gave me for our 1-month anniversary. The watch, he said, is the one true timepiece in all of Night Vale. And it is, indeed, the middle of the day.
Yeah, you gotta love it when it's noon and you're the only one not getting any sunlight.
I have only been on the air a few minutes, and before I arrived in this studio, the sun was definitely out. No clouds in the sky. Josie also told us that she used her old opera glasses to look more closely at the helicopters. Just an aside for our younger listeners, Josie was the chairwoman of the Night Vale Opera for many years, until it folded in the early 1990s when a massive puppy infestation destroyed the theater's infrastructure.
Yeah, you gotta hate those massive puppy infestations. They just kind of ruin opera houses.
Josie said each helicopter has a large triangular logo with an orange S in the middle. She doesn't know what that means, but she thinks the darkness enveloping her home is the angel's last act to try to protect her. Wherever they have gone, they have left behind a protective shade, keeping out the helicopters and all other dark forces. I reminded her that angels aren't real, and she said, as if I hadn't even interrupted, that if she falls, so does this town.
Ba-ba-ba-boom.
There was a long pause, and then she said, "We never go bowling anymore, Cecil. Why is that?" I don't know, I reflected. There has been a tiny underground army living under the bowling alley, and they've declared war on all of us. They injured my new boyfriend. Also, I have a new boyfriend. Listen, we should totally get the team back together and go to League Night again, just like old times. I would like that, Cecil, she said. But then her voice slowed, turning cold, as if we were strangers with wrong numbers. I'm afraid the sunlight has come back.
Uh-oh. That may not be a good thing.
And the phone went silent. Listeners, I do not know what is happening or to whom these helicopters belong, but I do know that we must protect our town, Night Vale. Protect it from all outsiders, whether they are flying machines or tiny warmongering civilizations, or simply neighbors who don't say the Pledge of Allegiance loudly enough. I hope Josie is safe. I hope you are safe. I hope we all live to see tomorrow's sunrise, or whatever day the next sunrise is.
He's got a very valid point there about living to the next day that has a sunrise.
But for now, I give you the weather.
Okay, we take our break for the weather. I once again will encourage everybody to look up Welcome to Night Vale and listen to it without my commentary, giggling, laughing, and snarky comments. There are places where you can find Welcome to Night Vale in the description box below. And with that, we'll take our pause and we'll come back right after the weather. Okay, we are back after the weather break. Just for those that haven't tuned into my videos before, the weather at Welcome to Night Vale is a musical interlude, and the copyright algorithms for YouTube are weird when it comes to music, so we just kind of do a pause and go from there, just because it saves on A, video length, which is kind of important, and B, most importantly, copyright strikes and having to deal with all that mess. So let's get back to it.
Listeners, I just received word from Vithya, who went downtown to the city records office. She said she found several Emmets, Everetts, and Ernests, but there was one particular file that stuck out to her, and she copied that file and put that copy in her backpack, and then walked out into the street, ready to begin her investigation into the identity of the man in the tan jacket. But, according to witnesses, Vithya found herself caught up in what looked like a strong wind. She lifted slightly off the ground. Witnesses all agreed that she began to elongate. She began to glow a deep black, a dark, pulsing aura. And amidst the sounds of bold trumpets and melancholy cellos, and even the haunting call of a muted French horn, Vithya ascended to heaven.
Or at least what appears to be heaven.
To the family of Vithya, let me say that she was a very good intern. And while angels are not real, we are certain she is in a better place, whatever that place might be. She has become a better thing, whatever that thing might be. Know that your daughter did not die in vain.
But she died an intern. Does that automatically get you into hell or heaven? Or is there a intern dying clause somewhere? Maybe? I don't know.
And perhaps given the tenuous reality of existence, she may not have died at all, for it's debatable whether any of us ever truly live. The witnesses all agreed that Vithya was no longer real, and that we were no longer allowed to know anything about her. It was a lovely sight.
I don't know. From the description that he gave, lovely sight is not the first thing I would be thinking of,
said one witness. I cannot even describe the beauty of her ascension, said another. You kind of did, though, said another witness, who was wearing a fedora. By saying you cannot describe something, that is a sort of apophasis, a paralipsis, if you will, which gives the object an implied description through non-description, he continued. Plus, the word indescribable carries with it a universal connotation and is itself a description. Here, let me explain.
I have talked to, and I had friends that were college professors that have reacted that way when somebody misspeaks or says something, and they go to correct them on what they said or why they explain to them what they said actually meant.
But the other witnesses moved a little ways up the sidewalk so they could no longer hear the man. They said nothing to one another. They just stood in a circle, sharing the knowledge that they had seen something they should never have seen. They looked one another in the eyes. They breathed in unison. They smiled politely, intimately, knowingly, until one of them, in fact, each of them as individuals, decided that the moment had passed, and they parted ways. They will likely never see the others again.
And that's how things like that go.
And if they do, they will be but unacquainted pedestrians. But before they left, the witnesses said that some low-flying yellow helicopters began dropping orange leaflets onto the city streets.
Uh-oh. What could be going on?
The leaflets read, Strexcorp Synernists, Inc. Look around you, Strex. Look inside you, Strex. Go to sleep, Strex. Believe in a smiling God, Strexcorp. It is everything. Oh no. Dear listeners, we must issue an apology.
Uh-oh.
Those helicopters are completely safe. Even safer than safe. In fact, Strexcorp recently bought our little radio station from the mysterious unseen forces who founded it centuries ago. I'm glad to know that Josie will be okay, and that Strexcorp has come to Night Vale.
Yay! Maybe not.
Rest easy, listeners, knowing that this was all just a simple misunderstanding. But now we fully understand everything that is happening, and we are not misunderstanding anything else at all. We are completely safe.
And I'm glad he cleared that up for us.
Stay tuned next for the sound of slow, steady dripping and occasional screams. Good night, Night Vale. Good night.
Well, that was an enjoyable one. Lost both my drumsticks, but well, it is what it is. I go pick them up off screen. I hope everyone's enjoying these so far. It's hard to believe we're already up to 32. So yeah, we'll keep on going. And until next time, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?